Hi everyone, this is Arpad from the YouTube channel Starpath Academy, and today I want to talk a little bit about money, its use case, and how I see our perspective changing about money in the near future. But I want to start off with a news that I heard recently. This comes from December 8th. And it goes, Nigerians uneasy about central bank's restrictions on cash withdrawals. I'm currently reading it from voanews.com, but I guess it will be probably posted many places. Okay, so basically Nigerians are now getting the news, or since December 8th have gotten the news that their cash withdrawals will be limited. So I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs and then we can talk about it. Nigeria's central bank this week announced a new policy that restricts large amounts of cash from being withdrawn from bank accounts. The announcement comes 2 weeks after the authorities unveiled redesigned currency in an attempt to curb cash hoarding and check corruption and crimes. But some critics say that decision will have negative effects on small businesses. The central bank's directive this week restricting cash withdrawals from individual and corporate accounts will take effect on January 9th, 2023. According to the new policy, personal account holders will be able to withdraw only 100,000 naira, or around $200 per week, while companies will be restricted to about $1,000 in the same period. The policy comes ahead of Nigeria's election slated for February 2023, with the authorities vowing to tackle vote trading and corruption. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole article. I'll probably have a link to it if you're interested in the description. But basically what I want to talk about here is that, yes, this may be a country that you personally don't know much about or don't care about, which maybe you should, but that doesn't mean that this is not a model that they are trying out, right? And by they, I mean the central banks, or the central bank cabal, or the World Economic Forum friendly central banks, let's just put it that way. Because usually the modus operandi is that they try it out in a country that they have better control of, that is a good test case to roll it out later on. I'm not saying cash restrictions are coming tomorrow, but I'm saying that Cyprus was a country like that. I guess Nigeria was a country like that. Romania was a country like that in a certain period. It may still be, I don't know. But basically, these are social tests, how people react to it. Now, $200 per week may be quote unquote more or go further in Nigeria than the United States. But the fact is the same, that an arbitrary number that somebody big-brained thinks up, and they say this is the amount of cash you should have and no more. Now, where do they have that right? I don't know. Did you give them that right? I don't know. Right? The thing is that the old perception of money is that you work, you put your labor, your hard labor, your blood and sweat into it, right? And you get this something that is yours, and that is yours to do anything that you want with the confines of the law, of course. And then you do anything you want with it. It's yours to hoard, it's yours to spend, it's yours to give it away. Well, that conception, that thought pattern is now changing, or they want to change it, where you are renting everything, you own nothing, and you'll be happy. So basically you're renting the money, right? Actually, they are renting it for you, and that may have a cost, or that may not have a cost. It's their money, right? And that goes back to the, I guess, biblical of whose face is on the printed coin, right? It's all Caesar's money. It has to go back to Caesar. And now, what does this mean, in the long term? Well, first of all, you can reject this notion. You can definitely do something about it. I'm not saying that. I don't even like the YouTube channels that are saying that this will come and this, you should get ready for it. Yes, this may come and you should get ready for anything anyway, but you can also fight it one way or another, right? Peacefully, of course. Through the political process, you can do that. You can raise awareness. The best thing right now is to raise awareness and let your opinion to be known to your friends and family, and even outer circles, and your politicians, your quote-unquote representatives, if they still exist, or if that's their job, or still their job. Anyway, do whatever you can, because this is restricting freedom. This is taking away your blood and sweat, right? But this is the age of Mammon, I guess, the god of money, right? If you don't know who that is. And in this case, if you go against it, this might be like sacrilegious, I guess, or that you're going against the faith system that the whole central bank system runs on. So you have to be careful. And I'm saying that because, like, if you're a country, Gaddafi, right? We know what happened there. Saddam, we know what happened there. So now, regardless of the fact that they might have been bad dudes, right? The capital crime, right, is that you go against the money system. But, you know, you could just go parallel, not necessarily against it, right? You could go parallel, and that's the whole point of this video, is to kind of wake you up that yes, money is the system that you live under, right? Money runs the whole mechanism, is the oil that binds everything together in the current system, in the current order. And you have to know that, and you have to acknowledge that and work with that. I'm not even saying go against it. Go against the limitations of cash withdrawals. But I am saying that you're not confined. You're not in a prison. The prison is only in your mind. You could just trade goods for goods, right? You could trade for goods for anything. I mean, that was my guess. That was the whole idea behind, the original idea behind cryptocurrencies anyway, right? Now, it has deviated a lot, of course, and I'm not saying we're still there, but the idea is still valid, that we could trade anything for anything, right? And then we go to the question, okay, what would work best? Well, anything can be used, quote unquote, as money. It's just there are better qualities and worse qualities that you could use something for money. Live chicken, like what we had, right, back in Romania, that you could use as currency, at least definitely between friends and family, for work that you may have done for a cousin, or even to pay someone in the same small town, which would have worked, may not be the best form of money that you want to adopt in the current state, or the current, I guess, digital world, right? We have talked about silver and gold, which are really good form as money, but in the current system, they might also have their drawbacks. So I'm saying there's different situations in which one form of money could be used better than the other. But you have to think about these prior, and you have to prepare, right? So that's what I'm raising awareness about. Now, about the qualities of good money, I guess money needs to be durable, right? It needs to be portable. It needs to be uniform. It needs to be limited in supply. It needs to be acceptable, divisible, and fungible, which is basically interchangeable. Okay, so as I said, anything can be used money, and there are situations where one would work better than the other, but having a global unit of account would be really good. But I think that's going away, and I think that needs to go away in your own mind as well as soon as possible, because if not, you might be stuck in the same loop that many people in Romania were stuck in during the hyperinflationary period, where people still used the old currency as money, right? And they were getting poorer and poorer. but like everybody just calculated that, okay, next month I'll raise my prices by 20%, next month again 20%, next month again 20%, and so on and so forth. Or you really paid attention like what something is going for. Here's the problem though, like by the time you spend the money that you have accumulated, it has lost value, because everybody is going to do the same, right, in these situations. And they still did it. Like they had a very hard time to kind of shift out of this mentality, because if that's what they have been doing for the past 40 years, right, not necessarily listening to podcasts like this, right, the Star Path Academy, it's very hard for them to jump out of it. And you would think like, wow, that's really happened. And yes, and also in other South American countries it has happened that people still use the government approved form of old money that was hyperinflating, and they just calculated in some percentage, some arbitrary percentage, that how much it would lose value. So hopefully that by the time they would run to somewhere else to spend it, they could get the similar purchasing power that they were expecting 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago, right? So you could do that, right? I'm even saying that you should do that to blend in at some point, right? But you should definitely not save your money in currency, especially in hyperinflating currency. But I do want to talk about a little bit more about the properties of money, about durability, portability, uniform, limited supply, acceptable, divisible, and fungible. So think about it. Like gold fits this really good, but transportability, which is not like a known quality, I think it's like really, I think we should add that to it. So I think it has issues with that. And also now with, I guess, security or people going crazy, let's just put it that way, definitely you need to update your map a little bit, how you're gonna deal with others, right? Because I never seen like people going crazy en masse like in the summer of 2020, where people were destroying their own cities. Like, how would you reason with those people? Do you think you could, show your show your silver coin and get something from them, right? And you may say, "Oh, I'm not going to trade," but that you don't know who you're trading with, right? So I do want to raise awareness about that you need to think outside of the old boxes of, okay, silver, gold, and live chicken and that sort of stuff. You do need to think outside of that box, even though those are probably much better for durability, I guess, or durability of purchasing power. They're probably the best, right? Eggs, maybe not so much, unless you're interested in making 1,000-year-old eggs like the Chinese way, right? So you do have to think outside of the box. And yes, crypto could work, but there are other stuff that stand the test of time, right? And are in limited supply and are very divisible. Just give you some examples, like it could be boxes of ammo, right? Boxes of shotgun shells. Everybody knows what that is, right? It's in limited supply. It's acceptable. I would definitely accept that, right? It's durable, portable, it's uniform, right? So, I mean, you have to think outside of the box, right? Now, I guess I'm not a lawyer here, but to my knowledge, you should not buy ammo to trade it in at a later point. But if you happen to have a lot of ammo for yourself and you have nothing else to trade, you could just trade that or sell it for something else, right? If you no longer need it, or you think you had more than enough, right? But if not, you should definitely have an FFL license if you're going to be trading ammo or anything else like that as a business, or even to make profit, right? If that's your goal, then go the FFL route and talk with lawyers and so on and so forth. But if you're a hunter and you have a lot of ammo, or if you shoot a lot of 9mm every week, right, and suddenly you stop or you don't want to shoot them anymore, right, you're changing caliber, whatever, then maybe you have a lot of stuff left over that you could trade in for money, right, or you could sell. So think about those along those lines, but anything and everything. Now I do want to bring it back to crypto a little bit, just because I mentioned it. So yeah, so my perspective on crypto has changed a lot, but not too much, in the sense of not what the original idea was. It was probably more between the hype period and I guess now dying down or probably coming back, who knows, whatever. But basically the problem that I hoped that crypto would solve was the problem of money, right? Exchanging stuff for other stuff, right? And it definitely did not do that. Maybe to some degree at some point, but precisely because of its early success and its downfall, and who knows, maybe another success cycle, but because of the high fluctuations, it didn't really solve anything. It became like a big speculative asset bubble, or whatever you want to call it. So, but that doesn't mean that the idea was bad, that you should not solve the problem of money by yourself, and you should always just rely on governments and central banks and the cathedral, right, to solve your problems of two people exchanging goods for other goods, or having a unit of measure, right? So in that sense, I'm saying that there could be some hope in the future, because now the Pandora's box is open. But as long as cryptos does not solve the issue of privacy, then it's worse than cash, right? It's almost worse than cash, other than that fact that you could send it really quick to the other side of the world. It's worse than cash. Because you could just use cash, right? That's completely anonymous, right? It's much better in that sense. But as long as they would solve that problem, which there are currencies, I guess cryptocurrencies, that are at least trying to solve that. And, just giving examples here. Like, I'm not endorsing or pushing for these coins. I may or may not own some, or have owned some at some point. I'm not putting like life savings, or not even speculating, but there are cryptos, I guess, like Monero, right? Pirate Chain, Zcash, Firo, and some other ones that are at least giving a try to solve privacy, which is probably should have been the most important part of it. Because just not knowing who owns this wallet is not enough. It's not private. You could track them down, right, very, very easily. Now, just because a coin like Pirate Chain might be very private, I guess, that doesn't mean that you can do stupid things with it, because you could be catfished, right? Let's just say some governmental agency sells you some little pieces of plastic that are deemed illegal, but by some other agency or whatever, and you did something illegal that you didn't even know about, and the actual people who sold it to you were the perpetrators, and whatever. It's like, don't do stupid stuff. But hey, if you want to buy eggs from me, and okay, I would probably accept Monero, or even Pirate Chain, maybe even Firo, who knows. So think about along those lines, that the more you use it, the more utility you give it to it. But to be honest, like, you have to give up some of your I guess thought patterns that you had before, about you're doing it to become rich. No, you're doing it to provide an alternative to something that is being corrupted more and more, right? And that comes at a cost. And maybe you won't be, maybe if I sell you some eggs for Pirate Chain coin, maybe I won't be able to sell it anywhere else, right? So I don't want like a big pile of it that I got stuck with it, right? But maybe having a couple $100 in pirate chain or something like else doesn't hurt. That's what I'm saying, because then at least you know the mechanism, at least you know how to trade with it, or maybe you have friends and family that you could use it sort of as a trading token with, right? And there it comes, the problem of stable coins. I think stable coins would be perfect for this, because you don't need to think about like the value of it. Oh, it's always just going to be $1. But it's precisely because of that, I believe that there will be even more crackdowns on stable coins. I think that will continue, especially, God forbid, if anyone would try a stable coin with privacy attached to it. That would be really cracked down. But the problem is that like the free market can always like think out new solutions. I mean, you can trade in pirate coin or whatever, or you can, and immediately after that you have traded, you could just swap it back to something else, right? So there are solutions, but they're always kind of out there. But we need to bring it in. And like, wouldn't it be nice if you would be selling your crap, like your used stuff that you're not really thinking about making money on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, especially if you have joined like prepper groups, right? Wouldn't it be nice to have there somewhere like, okay, I also accept Monero, or I also accept pirate chain coin, whatever. and don't hoard it. Like, you should not hoard it. You should hoard gold and silver, right? And ammunition maybe, but not like Fugazi coins. But I'm saying there is a use case for it, and we have to acknowledge it. And if we don't, then we're missing out on something really big, or in the sense of a big opportunity. Now, what will be the coin of the future? I don't know. But I'm saying that we need to do something about it. And by something, I mean going parallel to the system that, or the prison that is being built for the masses, I guess. Now, I do want to say another point here is that when people try, or I guess when governments or central banks try something like this that we have read about just now and in Nigeria, what usually happens, and I've seen this happen, of course, in Romania, but that was like an extreme, but like in softer cases, like in Lebanon now, and we have talked with people from Lebanon, right? There will be a disconnect. There will be a disconnect between the currency that is printed out, the cash currency, and the one that is quote unquote stuck in the banks. Now, it's not stuck because you can take $200 out a week. But basically what I'm saying, there will be a value difference, a purchasing power difference, where cash will be king in these scenarios. Now, why? Because it's yours. You can spend it as long, as any way you can, right? And the other is in the bank, and you won't be able to spend it, only for people who want more of their money in the bank where they can't get it out from. So you have to think about that as well, because I'm not a big fan of hoarding too much cash. I've seen family members in Romania lose a lot of value like that when hyperinflation kicks in. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a good stack of 20s or a good stack of something that you could use in a gridded out situation or in other situations as well. You have to think laterally. Basically, everywhere you look, you should find a solution for something, as the engineer's way, right? You look for something. Oh, this could be good for that. That could be good for that. And think it logically, put a lot of filters on it, and talk with the community and share ideas. A lot of ideas come back to me from you guys through the comments section, so please use that as much as possible. And hope to talk to you next time. I hope you found some valuable information in my rantings or my thought patterns here. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Talk to you next time.